Want to introduce yourselves?
I'm Adam Buska. I'm co-founder of the NOH8 campaign. I'm also a fashion-based photographer here in LA.
And you?
And I'm Jeff Parsley, also co-founder of the NOH8 campaign and the executive producer.
Okay, so what made you guys choose photography specifically?
Well, being a photographer, it seemed like the easiest way to speak out. Jeff and I were taking part in the rallies after Proposition 8 passed in 2008, and we wanted a way to speak out. When we went home to our place, which was my apartment at the time, which was also seconding as my studio, we were surrounded by photography equipment, and me and him photograph all the time. We shoot and we come up with different ideas, and that night we were really inspired after being amongst the crowds at the rallies that we wanted to speak out and we wanted to contribute somehow, so this seemed like the most natural way.
Yeah, the energy at the rally was really intense. Just everybody there and screaming for their rights and demanding
The one you're referring to is the one that was outside City Hall, correct?
Well, there's a few.
There's multiple rallies.
The one that that sparked the campaign was after the decision, there was a gathering in West Hollywood. And then everybody marched from there over to the CNN building, and then up to Hollywood and Highland, and it was everybody marching together, and just Sunset Boulevard was just completely full as far as you could see forward, as far as you could see back, with people, with signs, with chants, with people beeping their horns as they're driving by in support, and people in restaurants coming out to the sidewalk with their drinks in their hands and kind of like rooting people on and kind of showing their support, and people joining as we're walking past. So it was really overwhelming for us. So that was like the thing that sparked it within us. We're just like, there's got to be something that we can do to send the message that we sent that night on Sunset Boulevard when we were marching.
And how did that decision affect you guys personally?
Well, I mean, we weren't engaged at the time, but the fact that the option was taken off the table sent a huge message. The fact that love was ever up for a vote, or that the fact that these rights for one minority could ever be voted on, just shows a real problem with the system. So we want to show that this can essentially happen anywhere. It's not a California issue, but it happened in California, but it can happen anywhere. It just shows the power of that.
And we were not activists at all before. Like, he was just doing photos, and I was working as a manager of a bar and restaurant. So, when it happened, I think it caught us off guard when it passed. I think that a lot of people in California were overly confident that it wouldn't pass. Because, everyone, hey, it's California,
right.
We're very liberal, there's no way that will happen. So I think that sense of relaxed feeling kind of helped it pass in a sense, because people were so confident that it wouldn't.
Did that make you guys look at not so much your community but your society a little differently?
Well, yeah, I mean, it definitely raised some red flags for us, because we thought, well, this time it's our rights that are being taken away, but who's going to be next? Because if it can happen to one group of people, it can happen to any group of people. So anybody can be discriminated against in the way that Proposition 8 discriminated against the LGBT community. So that was just like, well, if this can happen to us, it can happen to anybody.
Yeah, I mean, growing up in a conservative area for most of my life, it definitely struck a personal chord, because here I moved to California to where I thought it would be more liberal and more free.
Where were you originally from?
It was a small town called Clinton, Illinois, is where I grew up. It was a small town of maybe 7,000, 8,000 people. But it's super conservative, and a stark difference to where we live now. But
yeah.
But you think you're coming here to be more free and to be more open, and here we are, and the Proposition 8 was passed. So.
And the weird thing for me is I grew up in New Hampshire, and same-sex marriage is legal in New Hampshire. So for me, coming out here, it was kind of, in my brain, a lateral move. Mm-hmm. But it ended up being, a step back. But I'm kind of glad, in a sense, because now I can see that what I can do to help, and what I can do to help people, and what we can do to get this message out, that maybe people weren't seeing the faces of the people that were being discriminated against. Because, we saw a lot of logos go up after Proposition 8 passed that said, "I am a victim of hate." And, I mean, it's a message that's powerful, and it's true. But the only thing is we didn't know who it was. So we wanted to take that message and put a face to it so that we could see who that person was. We could see who was affected. We could see who supported equal rights. You know, so we could look into that person's eyes and see the passion within them and kind of make that connection between our friends and our family that didn't know that this is affecting us personally, which in turn should be affecting you because you're my friend and you're my family.
Right.
And you need I need your support. So I think it's kind of connecting a lot of the community with, you know, the LGBT community and the straight allies.
Yeah, it's really interesting that you put it that way because, like, when this didn't pass, everybody just thought, okay, this is only affecting that community. But, like, me, myself, like, I have 4 gay uncles. Mm-hmm. So that actually did affect me directly because, oh yeah, it affected me tremendously because, I mean, I saw everybody's heart being broken. Mm-hmm. But that kind of leads me to my next question is, like, so what made you take a step from being victim to activist?
I feel like it all just kind of, it all happened at once. I mean, I don't know. I never really saw myself as a victim, but at the same time, I mean, I can see how the state had silenced us, had taken away our voices,
and targeted us.
But here, it just seemed like such a powerful opportunity for us to rally people together. I mean, the way we've seen people activate overseas and other, like in Egypt and in other countries, the way social media has really brought people together. Here we have an opportunity to do the same for our own cause, and that's what we've kind of seen with the movement.
And then, like, how did who was the first person that you shot?
Yeah, Jeff was the very, very first photo in our living room.
Yeah. It really, it wasn't, let's start a campaign that we can, you know, use to promote equal rights. It was more of, how can we speak out? He's a photographer. Let's do a photo. This would be great. We can put our face to it. We can send this message. We don't have to translate it. So when I posted on my Facebook, my friends in, you know, China could relate to what the message is. And then it was just, you know, our friends said, what is this photo? What's no hate? Why the duct tape? And we explained to them, well, we felt like our voices were silenced by the state when our rights were voted on. We're a minority group. And we asked them, and it created the dialogue. And then, so, you know, I mean, you'd be surprised how many people didn't know what Proposition 8 was after Proposition 8 passed. So that's another thing that we can, now we're creating dialogue and we're educating people about these issues. After that, they want to support us. And they believe in the message that we believe in. And they want to help. So they do a photo. We asked our friends, our close friends, a group of maybe 9 people, will you guys do one of these photos with us? We need you to speak out with us. And it just grew and grew and grew. So we ultimately said, well, okay, so this message that we've created, that we're sharing, is really resonating with people, and it's creating that dialogue, and it's educating people, and people are listening to the message we're sending. So we need to do something more with it. And that's when we decided we can create an organization that can advocate equal rights through a media campaign that can be worldwide through social media, that we can use to get some of the news out about LGBT rights and issues and everything that maybe the mainstream media is not covering. Because we have a lot of people listening to us and watching us.
Yeah, I could see.